Hey everybody, Ryan here at eTrailer. Today on our 2021 Honda Passport, we're going to be taking a look at and showing you how to install the Curt 7-way vehicle wiring harness. People use these Passports to do a little bit of everything, which does include some relatively heavy towing. You know, and it makes sense. The hitches available for them are very capable, and these are really capable SUVs. So people get out on the road a lot, pulling around some heavy trailers, and you know, those larger trailers are generally going to have this 7-way round type connector, and this is going to allow you to hook up to that trailer. That way all your lights work and everything else. You also get your reverse light circuit and your 12-volt auxiliary power as well. So you kind of get everything you need there. And if you ever need to, say, maybe pull a smaller trailer, one that has a 4-way flat type connector, you know, not a big deal. You can always just grab an adapter like this, which will allow you to plug into the 7-way. And then that'll convert it into a 4-way flat. That way you can still tow those smaller trailers if you ever need to. So at the end of the day, it's just nice to know that, you know, your Passport is not going to be limited to towing only certain types of trailers. You know, with this wiring, you're going to be able to pull those larger ones and plug into them. And if you ever need to pull the smaller ones, you can always use one of those type of adapters, and that'll allow you to do that too. So great all-around kit that's going to get the job done. Now, as far as the installation goes, really not too bad. For the most part, it's plug and play, but you do have to take some things apart to route the wires and actually get everything plugged in. So it'll take you a little bit of time, but really shouldn't give you a whole lot of issues. Speaking of which, let's go ahead and do that together now. To begin our install, we're going to be here at the back of our Passport, and what we're going to need to do is locate some factory connectors, which will be inside. And so we'll open up our hatch, and what we're going to need to do is remove some of our floor coverings. So let's go ahead and grab everything off the floor that we can. We'll just set this stuff off to the side for the time being. This one we can probably just fold up. That way we don't have to deal with trying to get that completely removed. So to get these trays out, we're gonna have a couple of latches here. You can just rotate them quarter turn. And then we should be able to just lift up on this and move it out of the way. Now we go ahead, get the spare out of the way. So we'll rotate this T-handle until it comes out. Eventually we'll get there here. Pull this out, we'll grab the spare and get this out of the way as well. And we might as well get this out of the way too. This foam compartment with the tools in there. This will just lift up and we'll be able to remove it. Now in the corner here towards the back of our vehicle, we're going to have a push pin type fastener. We need to remove that. You can use a trim panel tool or a flathead screwdriver to pop that out. It'll be set up the exact same way on the other side, so I went ahead and removed that one as well. So if that's removed, we should be able to grab up on our carpeting and kind of work it out from our vehicle and get this out of the way as well. Just over here on the driver's side, we're going to have a couple fasteners we need to remove. If you look at our cargo hook here, we can flip that up. Then there will be a cover, plastic cover, and you can kind of get a pick or a flathead screwdriver behind there and pry it up. And what that's going to expose is a Phillips head screw. Now, the screw's in there really tight, so you can take your screwdriver and try to turn it. You might get lucky. Chances are good you'll probably strip it. But kind of an old trick here. Every screwdriver is going to be a little bit different, but a lot of them will have a, like the head of a bolt almost right there. Or sometimes the handles will allow you to put a wrench, a box wrench, over the top of it, and that's the case with this one. And so what this is going to allow you to do is put downward pressure on that screwdriver and turn that wrench, and that's going to help you break it free. That way you have some extra leverage. And by pushing down on it while you're turning that wrench, you're not going to have to worry about stripping it out. So just kind of an old trick there if you're having trouble with this. We'll go ahead and remove this and set it aside for now. If we continue to move up this pillar here, we're going to have one more fastener. So again, behind this cover, just release it. There's going to be an 8mm bolt. So with this one, we'll grab our socket and get this removed. Now we go ahead and remove our threshold. So with this, you just pull straight up on it. Get this out of the way. And over here towards the middle, we'll see this plastic deal here. We're going to release it as well. So take a trim tool or a flathead screwdriver, get these popped out. These are pretty brittle, so make sure you're under them good before you start trying to pull up on them. That way you don't break them. Take this and just get it out of the way for now too. Now if we take this panel here over on the driver's side, we can pop this thing free. Take a trim tool or something similar. It'll work behind it and just kind of work our way down. It's going to release some fasteners. And we should be able to look back in here and locate our connector plug. So the plug that we're looking for is up a little bit further. Can't pull our panel out because we have this connector. We'll disconnect that. You push down on the center tab, pull it out. Now we can kind of work this up and out of the way. And you can see we're going to have this exposed connector right there. That's the one that we're going to be working with, and the one that we're going to use to plug in our new harness. So this is a grommet here that we're going to use to route our wiring from the outside to the inside of our vehicle. What you want to do is push on the grommet, and you want to push it down towards the floor like so. And now what we're going to do is go from the bottom up. So we'll get underneath our vehicle and start to get our wiring routed. Now underneath our vehicle, here's our grommet. You push out of the way. We're going to use that hole. We're going to take our new harness and feed that up into the inside of our vehicle. So we'll just carefully work everything in. So now that we have our wiring in here, we can peel back our panel there. Take the connector plug and plug this on in. At this point, we can grab the included 10-amp fuse, get that plugged into the holder, close up that dust cover. And I want to mention this connector here. In our case, we're not using it, but if you had to disconnect the backup sensor harness, you're going to want to reconnect it to this here. That'll allow it to still function. But in our case, you know, we didn't need to do that. So that's what this is for. Chances are pretty good you're not going to have to, but in case you do, this is why this is here. Now we can take the white wire here with the pre-attached ring terminal. This is going to need to get grounded to the body of our vehicle. We have a thick metal bracket right here. That'll work perfectly. We're going to take this self-tapping screw, put it through there, take our drill, and just secure this to that bracket. At this point, we'll grab the two-sided sticky tape, and this is what we're going to use to secure our converter box here Peel off both ends, make sure that the surfaces are nice and clean. And this is gonna be a little tricky to see while I'm doing this, but it's gonna get it on a nice flat surface. Now behind here, and push down on it. Make sure it's solid, that way we can ensure we have proper adhesion. Now what we need to do is trim our grommet, that way it'll fit around our new wiring and still be able to go back in place. So I'm just going to cut a slit in it. These are a pair of snips here. And when you're doing this, just be careful not to cut those factory wires. You don't want to create any issues there. So be deliberate, pay attention to what you're doing. Cut that opening there. Kind of work this back down. And once you have it, tucked back in there like that, it actually sealed up pretty nice, but be on the safe side. Kit comes with some silicone. You can open that up. And we'll just put some sealer on this as well. Just kind of jam some of that in there. Now back underneath the vehicle, I went ahead and mounted up our 7-way connector to this bracket. This bracket does not come included. And in order to get this done, you will need a bracket to mount this up. So in our case, I just used a 7-way bracket because our hitch actually has a spot to mount that to. If your hitch does not have any bracket at all, you're going to need a no drill bracket as well as a 7-way bracket. So I definitely urge you to check this out because you're not going to have a way to mount up your plug and you're not going to be able to use it. So with that said, we're going to take our 7-way connector there. On the terminal side, I'm going to apply some dielectric grease. This will help keep it protected from corrosion and wear and tear. And then this is simply just going to plug right into our 7-way, like so. And then with our wiring, what I'll do is go ahead and secure this. I'll come back and show you how it looks. So we got this wiring secured, pretty straightforward. Just ran it along through here. And I used a P-clamp, secured it to this brace. That way our wiring doesn't drop down. Just ran it right over our hitch where it plugs into our 7-way connector. Now we need to pop the hood and install some fuses. So lift the hood up. Over here on the driver's side, we're going to have this fuse box. Push on the 3 tabs. Pop that up out of the way. This opening there, we're going to take this 30-amp fuse. Push that in. The opening right next to it, we're going to take this 20-amp fuse. And get this one installed. They're pretty small, they're kind of tricky. And then this one right here to the left of that 10-amp fuse, we're going to take the 20-amp fuse and get that in as well. And all these fuses are included, so you don't have to worry about grabbing these separately. But we have these hooked up. Go ahead and put this back on. Now we'll go ahead and test everything to make sure it's working. So now to test everything, I went ahead and plugged in this tester, and I strongly recommend using one of these as opposed to just plugging into a trailer, because if your trailer has any faults, you could potentially think it's the wiring causing the issue, and this tester will bypass that. With that said, I simply have my key turned on. I have my 12-volt auxiliary power lit up. We'll try out our brakes, our left turn, our right turn, our taillights, and I'll start up the car, put it in reverse, and make sure those work as well. Now that we know everything works, what we can do is put all of our panels and everything back together the opposite way that we removed them. And that'll finish up our look at and our installation of the Curt 7-way vehicle wiring harness on our 2021 Honda Passport.